Welcome to the next episode of Marilyn and the Preacher.
I'm Marilyn.
Marilyn's the pretty one. I'm the preacher with a beard. Marilyn just asked me if they had a buttered flavored perfume, if I would buy that for her. Because we got butter, not margarine. You never buy margarine. Real butter. I'm not sure how real this is, being it's made at Walmart, but it says real. Real butter.
It's real.
It's real butter.
And it's butter scented, not butter flavored perfume.
Buttered flavored. Well, I'm thinking more
Buttered
of the flavor.
scented.
I'm thinking more flavor.
I knew what you was thinking, preacher. Yes.
But anyway, so Marilyn and the Preacher is all about helping Christians and anyone live a healthy lifestyle, getting rid of type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and just helping you control your inflammation and getting you back in order with the way that God created your body to function. So that's the reason we do these videos. It goes along with our Celebrate Freedom, which I want to plug. If you've got any kind of addiction, and let me tell you something, we're all born addicted to sin. Just some of us have the ability to control it better than others for a limited period of time, but eventually, sin's eventually going to consume us if we continue to play with it. So, on Friday nights at Worship Life Center, 503 18th Street West,
Jasper.
In Jasper, Alabama. If you ain't got anything to do, at 7 o'clock come. We prepare a meal, and then at 7:30 we go into a church service. And we have had people saved every week. Every week we have a big turnout for the altar call. Last week I was unable to make it due to the hernia surgery. My mom preached an awesome message. I posted some of that on Facebook, and we had 102 show up. So I just encourage you to come out. You ain't got nothing to do on Friday night, or if you know someone that's struggling with addiction, encourage them to get here. But what Marilyn and I have decided to do is really emphasize the comfort food, the food that your mom used to cook, right,
Or
Marilyn?
your grandmama.
Right.
Or mama. I like to say mama.
Mama is a lot better.
Yeah.
We're waiting on grandkids, and I'm gonna be papa. Not that anybody's expecting.
No.
My camera lady looked at me really weird. But anyway, not that anybody's expecting, but we're wanting grandkids, and we've decided I won't be PP or Papa or Poo Poo or whatever these weird names, Papa or Mimi or whatever, so people don't think we're old. We're fine with being old. We're going to be Papa and Mama.
Yes.
So, anyway, back to the subject. We want Mama kind of cooking, so tell them what we got here, Marilyn.
We're going to do just a simple old-fashioned corned beef and cabbage. A lot of times, I know my mother growing up had the corned beef hash. You don't want the corned beef hash. It has small diced potatoes, and we don't want any white potatoes or any root vegetable. Actually, anything grown underground is not really friendly for the keto way of eating. It's just regular corned beef, old style, open with the can. And this is actually 3 cans, 3 12-ounce cans, because we have a small army here that we feed at our house. But probably one can of corned beef for every 4 cups of chopped cabbage. And this is just some cabbage that I chopped earlier and rinsed and drained, and it's ready. And then we've got butter. I've got a half a stick of butter over here in the skillet in my pan. So we'll get started. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's cook. Okay, we're gonna put the cabbage in first and get it started. I've got my butter. I'm gonna turn this on medium heat. I love this big old pot.
Then we got Mama's old pot.
No, this
No.
is my pot.
Is that your pot?
It's my original pot. I've just had it for a while now, so it's one of my favorite things to cook in. So we'll just put our cabbage in here. And like I said, seems like a lot. Of course it is for us, for all of us, but you know, cabbage will cook down and it'll lose its volume, like turnip greens or any kind of big hearty vegetables like that. It will cook down. Now I'm not going to add any salt to this right now because the corned beef does have a good bit of salt in it, but I'm going to go ahead and pepper it and get it stirred into that butter and let it start sweating a little bit. But then I'll taste it and then see if it needs more salt before I add any salt to it, okay?
And we're going to use Himalayan pink salt, because the salt that you buy at Walmart has all the minerals stripped out of it. On the keto diet, you need those minerals. So you can buy Himalayan pink salt. It's got like 93 different minerals in there. You can buy it at Walmart or most grocery stores, or we actually order ours off Amazon because I get excited every day at work when the UPS truck shows up. It's like Christmas. I just point and click and it shows up, and I bring home a bunch of stuff, and Marilyn says, "What'd you buy?" I ain't bought any shoes in a while, so we're doing good there.
That's true. He hasn't bought any shoes in a while.
shoes in
Very
a while.
proud of you, baby. I
I
forgot
know.
to tell you that.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
shoes in a while.
No shoes in a while. Good.
When we first got married, she looked in my closet. She said, "You got more shoes than I do."
He still does.
I still have more shoes than she does, yeah. I like clothes. I don't like to fish. I don't like to hunt. I like weights and clothes and money.
And hats.
Hat. I do like hats. I do like hats.
Which makes me feel a little bit better. But.
Yeah. But talking about the keto diet, basically what you're doing is you're training your body to live off of fat. See, the reason that your body stores fat is because God created you that way. Because God knew that there may be a time that you needed additional fuel because you couldn't find anything to eat. I mean, you got to figure 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, some folks may have gone 3 or 4 days without eating. So the body naturally stored fat for that case. Well, what happens today is, since we've trained our bodies to stop living off fat and stop burning fat as a fuel, and now they're burning glucose, what happens is we just spike our insulin, that glucose, those simple carbohydrates, the 5 things, the corn, the potatoes, the rice, the sugar, and the flour, spikes our blood sugar. The insulin not only spikes your blood, but it tells your body to store fat. And that's the reason what happens is it's like taking a fuel tank and filling it all the way up, and when it gets all the way full, creating a new fuel tank. So that's what all this is. This is additional fuel tanks when we got that extra fat. We see your body's designed to operate, your heart's designed to carry 150 pounds. Well, if you weigh 300 pounds, what does that mean? That means your heart has to work twice as hard. Your pancreas has to work twice as hard. Your liver has to work twice as hard. That's the reason you see people, just incredibly unhealthy in their 30s and 40s. And I know you may be thinking, well, I'm 25 now and I got plenty of time, and you ain't got any health problems. There's maybe 30 and you don't have any health problems. Well, I didn't have any health problems until I got about 26, 27. And then all of a sudden I find myself weighing close to 300 pounds. Type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, just unhealthy. Well, about 7 years ago, I got on the low carb thing. I read a book called Sugar Busters. And keto is a lot like that, but it just takes it to the next level. We're actually doing some intermediate fasting now. We'll have our last meal tonight. We won't eat again for tomorrow at lunch. I had surgery Thursday, and I promise you, I have a ton of energy. I feel really, really good with the intermediate fasting. Mm-hmm. So what your body does is it begins to start burning those ketones, or burning the fat for fuel. That's the way God created you to, is to burn fat for fuel, not glucose. Glucose is bad. Blood sugar, high blood sugar is bad, bad, bad. That's the reason we have obesity that's rampant, especially here in Alabama and in the United States. If you take a look at the American Indians, they have the highest proportion of type 2 diabetes of any people group. Why is that? Because they live off hybrid corn. See, the yellow corn that we have today isn't a corn that God created. What it is it's corn, maize, that man jacked with to come up with to make it sweet. That's the reason they call it sweet corn. And what it does is it greatly spikes your blood sugar. Blood sugar spikes, insulin's increased, your body gets into fat storage mode because it's thinking, hey, I need to get some extra fuel tanks in here. And we don't need extra fuel tanks. Extra fuel tanks means your heart's overworking, your kidneys are overworking, everything is overworked. Your joints, you got some joint pain. And then also you start looking at all this GMO stuff, the genetically modified oils and genetically modified fuels. Your body don't know what to do with it. So it naturally responds by inflammation. So it's just better to eat like the way that God intended you to eat.
So I've added come a little closer, sweetie. So I've added the corned beef into the cabbage, and it's all coated in with the butter. I put some pepper in there. So I'm just going to put the lid on it and let that steam and cook a little bit, and we're going to get the ingredients together. Ron's going to show us how to make the keto bread. That's going to be similar to cornbread to go with our meal. So be right back. Okay, we're going to check and see about our cabbage and our corned beef. And yep, it looks pretty good. It's probably been cooking about 10-15 minutes now. The cabbage is starting to get a little bit translucent, and it's all mixed in there really good.
And you don't want, I personally don't like my cabbage cooked too much. I still like it to have a little bit of a crunch to it, don't you, Marilyn?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
You want a little bit of both. Soft and some crispiness to it. Crunch.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Okay, now we're going to get started on the keto bread.
With the keto bread, what we have, and I've been experimenting with keto biscuits, keto pancakes, keto cheesecake. I got a recipe for a keto cheesecake that'll blow your mind. Anyway, in the keto chocolate cake, keto peanut butter cake, I got all kind of recipes that I've been working on. But this right here is a keto cornbread type thing that'll go good with this. Go good with the corned beef and cabbage. First thing you got is we got 1 cup of almond flour. We're gonna put a little Greek seasoning in there because I love this stuff. It's awesome and it adds a nice flavor to the bread. Then we got 1/3 of a cup of flaxseed meal. Of course, you got to have your baking powder, your butter, which I got the butter melted, 1 stick of butter melted right here, and that's it. So let's start mixing our ingredients.
And 3 eggs.
And 3 eggs. And Marilyn's on the 3 eggs. So I like to, I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And you got to be careful not to put too much baking powder because it will make your cake and bread taste funky. And give it a weird wang taste. Now, I like to, and I'm just going to eyeball the Greek seasoning. Not too much because you'll end up being way too salty. I've done that. And I'm going to pre-mix my dry ingredients before I add the wet ingredients in there. And we're actually going to cook this in the microwave. And, you know, and if you were here and you could taste it, you'd be like, there is no way this is cooked in the microwave. One of the other things we've done here is we've added, for just a nice hearty meal, you can add some cheddar cheese and bacon bits to this mix.
And make biscuits.
Man, make biscuits.
Biscuits.
The next time we do the pot pies, we're going to use a biscuit type batter. So let's go ahead and add our wet ingredients now. This is our butter. And then get Marilyn to add our eggs.
How beat up do these need to be?
They don't need to be them. That's
too
good.
whipped.
Yeah. Just mixed up. Then you just start folding all that together.
We've already just taken one of our serving bowls and put some nonstick spray in it.
No additional wet ingredients. And this is actually just a little bit too wet. So I'm gonna, you want it to be a little thicker than that. So I'm gonna add just a tad bit more almond flour in there. Probably 1/8 of a cup, and see if that thickens it up a little bit. Yes, and that did it perfectly. Get it mixed up and you just rake it into the into your microwave dish. And we want to make sure we don't leave any.
Oh, here. Let me help you.
That'll help me. I have some arthritis issues with my hand. When I lift weights, I look like a cyborg. I almost have to duct tape the weights to my hand. I got all kind of contraptions.
And just kind of smooth it out even. And this is going to puff up and rise just a little bit in it from the baking powder.
Yeah.
That's already good.
There's ways you can add yeast and a little molasses. The yeast will consume the molasses so it doesn't affect your carbs. actually get a better type of bread. But this is just a really quick recipe. I do this at work all the time. I make little bread in a mug all the time at work. And I'm gonna start off with 2 minutes. Let me show you. Do we have that mug?
Yes, it's right here.
You know, like I'll take like a quarter cup of almond flour, a little bit of baking powder, a couple of eggs, some cheese and bacon bits, mix it up, throw it in the microwave for 90 seconds, bam. Come out, because you got the butter in there, flop it over. Sometimes I just use oil. Pop it out, and then you get your bread. And it tastes incredible. And it's very low net carbs, so it doesn't have the same effect on you that that regular bread, the processed flour has. See, the way that it works is God created a grain, and we take it and we pulverize it. When it gets into your small intestine, it goes into your small intestines very quickly, and then that shoots your pancreas into like alarm mode, and it's like, man, I got a lot of carbohydrates coming at me really, really fast. And then what your pancreas does is it says, I gotta secrete insulin to keep the blood sugar down, or I'm gonna get sick. And that's the insulin, like I said before, tells your body to store fat. The 5 foods that you never eat: flour, corn, sugar, potatoes, and rice. And I want you to think about this. What is a typical Southern diet consist of? I mean, when you think about biscuits and gravy and hash browns for breakfast, then you get a Big Mac with some French fries for lunch, and you come home and have fried chicken, macaroni, and cheese. And if it's a real special occasion, cornbread dressing. What do you got? You got a bunch of simple carbs. You got somebody 70, 80, 90 pounds overweight walking around with blood sugar of 300. That's the result of eating a bad. I'm convinced that, that this is just a trick of the enemy to attempt to render the body of Christ useless, because I can't be an effective witness for Christ if my blood sugar is 300, because nobody's going to want what I have. See, we're called to be the salt and the light of the world, and part of being the salt and the light is living a life that's an example for Christ. Let's take a look at this, and I know we're going to need more time, but and it's pretty close. It's puffed up really good. But what we'll do is we'll get you want to do it on a plate or a piece of wax paper?
Yeah, we'll do it on a, I said yeah. I didn't say which one.
Yeah.
You'll do it on a plate?
Yeah, we can do it on a plate.
Okay.
We like to clean up as you go, as you can see. And our dishwashers are in church camp, so.
Which is our kids. Most of them. 3 kids down, 2 more to go. Not really. Sorry. It smells good. I can already smell it cooking.
The way I test it is I just sort of feel it, and it feels just sort of springy. See how it's sort of springy like that? And then that way you know it's done. This pops out right out.
Oh, wow.
On the bread, on the pan. And then I got a little piece that fell off. Let's see if we can figure out how that goes back on, because it just don't look pretty without the little piece there. And then if you'll grab a knife real quick.
Okay.
Get a close up of that, Hannah. Just take a look at that. And that is just, with the flaxseed meal, that is just incredibly hearty. I mean, it tastes incredible. I mean, it's really, really good and super, super healthy. The flaxseed meal has as much fiber as it does carbohydrate, so it neutrals out. And a quarter cup of almond flour has 5 carbohydrates, or 3 grams of fiber. So we got 4 in there. So we got 8. We got about 8, 9, 10 net carbs in the entire loaf of bread. So here's the finished dish. You got your corned beef and cabbage and your keto almond flour bread.
And try that.
What they want to try about? That's so good. I can't wait to mix it with the corned beef and cabbage all together.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
It's really, really good, isn't it? Just nice and hearty. Hearty.
I tasted this earlier and we didn't agree that it didn't need any more additional salt.
So as usual, we thank you for joining us. We'll be trying to get as many videos as we possibly can with our busy lifestyle. Maybe we'll try the pot pie next. We'll look at that, and maybe I can do show you the cheesecake. Anyway, I pray that God bless you richly. The only way a person can be blessed through His only born Son, Jesus the Christ. Thank you for joining in. Have a good night.
Thank you.